PWS fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Supercard 2015 was a great show from the Rahway Recreation Center, and it was my first show since Frightmare Before Christmas in late December of 2014. The action kicks off with Habib from the Car Wash defeating the Bad Apple Matt McIntosh in a very good opening contest. Up next, legendary magazine writer Bill Apter appears and asks Mick Foley to come out as the fact that his 50th birthday was celebrated, and they pretty much had This Is Your Life Mick Foley as they introduced Shane Douglas, who trained with Foley at Dominic DeNucci's wrestling school in the Pittsburgh area. Kevin Sullivan, who was WCW Tag Team Champion with Foley back in 1994, he appeared, as did Jake the Snake Roberts and Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Eventually, Foley's daughter Noelle had come out, and she said she had a big surprise for him. And before it was unveiled, Bully Ray comes out and ran down all these legends in the ring, and I forgot what Foley pulled the Rocks If Doesn't Matter line on him. And Foley said that his Bully Ray's match with Colt Cabana would happen right now, with Foley and his daughter, I guess, being Foley himself as Mick as the guest enforcer and his daughter as the timekeeper. And eventually Bully got his hands on Noelle and she slapped him in the face, and Mick sockoed Bully, leading to Colt winning with a schoolboy pin. Up next, the Handicapped Heroes defended the Tag Team Championship against Aesthetic Enterprise. Damian Gibb, or is it Gibbs, and Beefcake Charlie. And I don't know how, I forgot how this happened, but Damian's bare backside was showing for most of the match, and later in the show, Cohen or Pat Buck came out and made him publicly apologize to the crowd for that. Up next was a lumberjack match, which saw Bonesaw defeat Sabu. That matchup saw the Lumberjacks being Monsters Island, as well as New Jack, Just Incredible, and Balls Mahoney. And Monsters Island eventually attacked Bonesaw, and all hell broke loose. The BWO, Stevie Richards, Blue Meanie, and Nova hit the ring, attempting to save Sabu. But then Raven comes out. He even flow DDT's Richards, and Raven pretty much declared that Monsters Island was the group he wanted all these years. I don't know if Raven will be around for PWS in the future, but time will tell, I suppose. Next, we were ready for the six-man tag team matchup, as Reality Check, Kevin Matthews, Devin Moore, and Craven Varro were set to face the Heavenly Bodies and the mysterious Helmet, who had been stalking Kevin Matthews for the last, 2 or 3 shows. I'm not sure how long, since I haven't been to PWS in some time. But the Heavenly Bodies, they come out without a partner, and they went 2-on-3. Eventually, Helmet does come out, takes his helmet off, and it turns out to be Shining Edward Jackson, the manager of the Heavenly Bodies. But then Devin Moore super kicks Craven Varro, attacks Kevin Matthews from behind. It turns out Devin Moore was the one stalking Matthews all this time, and the Heavenly Bodies ended up picking up a win. And, oh boy, I can't remember what else happened after that. I think, let me see. Yeah, we went to intermission after that one. And then intermission, the show resumed with Big Deal Craig Steele coming out with DJ Mario and 2 lovely ladies. And Steele had the microphone, and he introduced everyone to the Sandy Man. And up in the bleachers was a gentleman decked out in a nice suit, and they were playing like Metallica's Enter the Sandman, but it wasn't Metallica singing it, and based on the instruments, it sounded like maybe a version the late Frank Sinatra could have sung, or maybe Tony Bennett could have sung it, that version of it. I don't know who really sang it, but he ended up taking on the Wolf, Johnny Howell, and the Sandy Man defeated Johnny Howell. And after the match, I think thanks to an assist from Craig Steele, who poured whatever drink he had whatever cocktail he had in his hand onto Johnny Howell, Sandy Man picked up the win, and they double team. He and Steele double teamed Johnny Howell until Jake the Snake Roberts hits the ring, and he eventually, I think it was Steele who took a DDT from Jake Roberts. Up next, we were scheduled for the Triforce matchup. Eddie Kingston hits the ring, as does Nikos Rikos. He takes the microphone. He says, "I sold my spot in this match," and out came the Lifeguard. And it was a three-way match, which saw CPA defeat the Lifeguard and Eddie Kingston in a Triforce match. Up next, it was the finals of the television title tournament, as Chris Payne went one-on-one with the Prince of Queens, Brian Myers. During this matchup, Tessa Blanchard, who was in Payne's corner, she comes up to the apron, and she ends up slapping Payne in the face, and Brian capitalized, and Brian Myers defeats Chris Payne to become the first ever PWS television champion, and he left the ring with Tessa Blanchard. Up next, it was time for the Suicidal Six-Way title, which is pretty much the specialty of PWS. As we saw, Bobby Wayward defeat fellow untouchable Anthony Bowens, or is it Bowens, Brian XL, the Amazing Red, the Drunken Swashbuckler, and Starman to retain the championship. And then it was main event time in Rahway, New Jersey, as the heavyweight champion Croatian sensation Mario Bokra defended against Danny Moff and Falaba in a no disqualification match. This very matchup saw such chaos, where Bokra brought into play a chair painted in, I guess, the colors of the Croatian flag, and it had barbed wire wrapped around it. A barbed wire 2x4 was brought into play. A table was set up. A door was set up in a corner. Eventually, Bokra went under the ring with a bag, and he opened the bag, and there was a bunch of thumbtacks poured into the ring. Moff then goes underneath the ring. He pulls out a bigger bag with more thumbtacks as they poured in the middle of the ring. Falaba looks at it and shakes his head because he wrestles barefoot. But then Fala goes outside. He grabs a fan and the fan gives up his shoes to Fala. And then he comes to the ring, and Fala's the thumbtacks did not go through the shoes, but I think he landed gut first on the thumbtacks. Eventually, I think at one point, Fala splashed Moff through the table. I remember, I don't know if everybody got tacks all over themselves at one point in this match. The ending came when, Moff burning hammered Fala through that door in the corner. He then burning hammered Bokra onto Fala, and he got the 3 count, and Danny Moff is the brand new PWS heavyweight champion. At long last. Personal notes. It was great sitting with Mike McNicholas and Julian. Great seeing Erica, Devin, John, Carlos, Tara, the Jack Evans lover I remember from Ring of Honor shows. Who else do I remember seeing there? Oh, Eric Martinez. Thought he was going to sit with us for the show. Okay. Well, Pat Buck did make some announcements to the crowd. He announced PWS will be back in Union, New Jersey on July 25th. He announced they're going to come to Brooklyn, New York in September. They said they're going to be in Starland Ballroom. I think that's in New York City on Saturday, August 22nd. And already announced to appear is Rey Mysterio Jr. And I think they won't be back in Rahway till October, I believe. Man, this show really ran late. I forgot what time the show ended. I have to say, Dragon Palace, right by the Rahway train station, has some good chicken lo mein. Okay. Okay, that will we'll do it. Great show by PWS, and I hope to be back in the future.